Hello artists, Mrs. Castle here, and we are going to experiment with some paint and pencil. Gonna experiment with some paint, and we need some columns. Okay, you won't need this much. Let's make 4 columns and 4 rows. One, two, 3, 4. Okay. Make sure you put your name on this and your period. Mine's 5 because this is my working time, my plan time. And let's see, I need my brush. Today, when we're doing our mixing experiment, I want a couple of pieces of the paper, mixing paper, the small squares, and we're gonna make some gray. And we want kind of a lot of it. Always, when you're mixing a color with white, start with white all the time. And then I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of black, and I'm gonna mush it around. Until I can't see any more streaks of black and no more streaks of white. I can still see some streaks of the black there on the bottom. But there. Oops. Remember, we want to keep our paint kind of in a pile. It will stay wet longer if it's in a pile. And we want our paint to stay wet for a while. Okay, I'm gonna wipe off my palette knife. Okay, I can't see very well because I'm using my iPad and I can't, and my space to work in is very small, so that you can see. Okay, oops, and I just stuck my hand in my gray on my paper towel. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna mix. I guess we don't need that many squares. So I'm gonna put blue here, and my blue is getting kind of thick, which just means it's a little bit dried out. Because this is what I used last night to do the big chart. Okay, so I'm gonna just mix a little. That was kind of a big drop, but I'm just gonna mix some water into, not a lot. We don't want it to be drippy, just a drop. And that's gonna be better for us. Okay, then, I don't know. Maybe we could do, see, I've got paint on the ferrule, the silver part of my brush, and you really don't need paint there. Okay, and I'm gonna do green, or phthalo green. Remember, we want to paint the paint thick enough that we don't see the paper glowing through. And it's kind of glowing. That's better. Okay. And then I'll do yellow. And if we have time, we'll do orange. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to mix my colors on this piece of paper because I want to keep my gray kind of clean. I'm going to get some blue. Make sure you can see that. Yep. Okay. I'm going to get some blue and get a little bit more. Wipe off my palette knife. And I'm going to take a little bit of gray, a little bit, and I'm going to mix it with my blue. So for this, we're going to do 3 mixes with the same color. So you kind of want to have enough of your original color so that you'll have enough to paint the box and make a new color. Remember, always pull. Yep. The brush is kind of wet there. I didn't have any paint there. And be careful, I just about laid my hand in the blue, in my blue mix. Okay, then I'm gonna mix a little bit more gray into my blue. This is why you need to make sure you start out with kind of a lot. I could probably stand a darker gray because this is, and there's some gray showing up. It's graying out some, which is kind of what we want. So we're gonna paint in, gonna make 3 mixes, adding more gray each time. And I'm rinsing my brush because I'm gonna add more gray, and I don't want, so next I'm going to get some more blue or some more gray. I'm going to go with kind of a lot this time because my blue is running low. I don't want to just randomly add more blue, although if you're desperate you may have to, because that's kind of a dangerous thing to do, because it's hard to know exactly how much gray to add back in after you add more blue. Okay, there's my mixes with blue, gray and blue. Okay, I'll do one more with green. And then we'll be done. You don't need to sit and watch me mix colors all day long. All right, so I'm gonna make sure I get enough green. Now remember, your green is very strong. It's one of our strongest colors. And, oops. We see kind of a big change, which is fine. I kind of have to sit far away, so I'm having a hard time seeing. I want to make sure I get enough paint on there so that we're not seeing paper shining through. Adding gray with the white and the black kind of will help that. And I'm wiping off my palette knife so I don't get color in my gray that I don't want. can also take paint off of the back of my palette knife. So always pull, because it's a hot mess if you push with your brush. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe off my palette knife so I don't contaminate my gray with that phthalo green, which is kind of a serious color. I'm going to paint in my third box. You can use whatever colors you want, just as long as you have like a light, a medium, and a dark. Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop there. Actually, I'll go ahead and do yellow, and you can just watch. I'm not gonna talk a lot because it's gonna pretty much be the same. Some yellow. Said I wasn't gonna talk. Okay, so there are my three colors with, mixing with gray, and we can see how they change. If you are going to choose to paint a landscape, adding gray to colors is going to really help you create the illusion of distance. If you want to do a non-objective painting, this is a technique that you can use to kind of create the illusion of space and while not drawing things we recognize at the same time. All right, so that's it for that one. Make sure that your name and period is on it, and take your photo and upload to one of the turn-ins.